Jim, zoning ordinance changes.
This is to ask the board for approval to advertise two changes. One is to the Saldo. The Saldo change is to update the road specifications pursuant to the recommendations of the township engineer. The zoning ordinance revisions are a slight change to the map, a removal of Tier 5 from the zoning ordinance. The Tier 5 was the tier that would allow dense apartment-type buildings along routes 100 and 401 if the parcel size was large enough. And there is there's one additional change to Birchrunville Village, which is to remove commercial from Birchrunville Village.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
I move that the township authorize the advertisement of the proposed revisions to the township zoning ordinance in the form as presented for a public hearing on December 23rd, 2013 at 7:30 p.m. And with the township solicitor and staff to provide all required notice for the zoning map revision.
Second.
Comment? Maria?
At the planning commission meeting, the planning commission recommended that they did not move forward on Birchrunville until, and that really wasn't even fully discussed yet at the planning commission, so I'm confused as to why that is now going to a hearing when it hasn't moved out of planning commission.
Jim?
It doesn't need, the planning commission received 45 days prior notice in advance. The planning commission has not made a recommendation on that section of it. The board can move forward without a recommendation.
Okay.
Well, and I'm just going to ask that the board not vote on that piece of this and allow it to go through the planning commission, because you have a planning commission for a reason. The planning commission, I think, was very prudent in their thoughts to let the township and the residents that are concerned about that be able to review it and look at it. And you probably will reduce some solicitor fees by allowing that to happen in planning commission and get all of that comment out before it ends up being an expensive venture that people are going to fight back on. It's a pretty strong change. It strips out commercial, but it strips out a lot of other things as well that people do have concerns about. So I'm just kind of, you have a planning commission and you have a process in place. Why would you then just run right over them and bulldoze it? It just doesn't seem right.
Fair, David?
I'm okay with hold off on it.
Okay, George?
Well, what was the 45 days? The planning commission last met, I think it was on the 19th of October. And that, as far as I know, was the first time this was discussed with the planning commission. It didn't need.
It may have been the first time it was discussed, but we have certain obligations to provide them notice. And what all I was saying is that they were given their 45 days notice.
So when were they notified?
I have to look specifically. I can't tell you off the top of my head.
45 days from
It was sometime
tonight?
No,
From when?
it was, well, I believe it was in, so, I don't know. I'd have to look.
Well, what is the 45 days prior to what that they have to do?
Third passage, isn't it?
Before tonight?
45 days prior to their consideration.
So 45 days before the 19th of October, the planning commission was given notice that this was in the works?
Again, I'd have to check.
Well,
George, any more right now?
Yeah, my other question was, where did the proposed change to the Birchrunville Village zoning originate? I asked this at the planning commission and no one seemed to know.
Well, I would say it came from the residents of Birchrunville that were very vocal in what they wanted to see happen in
Okay,
Birchrunville.
I'm pretty sure I know all of them, and I don't remember anyone saying that we want to eliminate all commercial use except for a professional office building, which there was a proposed development of that people were having a discussion about. So this just doesn't make any sense to me.
Wait a second, if you were sat on this side of the table for the last 8 years, that's all we have heard.
You've heard that you don't want commercial development, but you want
Yeah,
professional office buildings?
No,
I don't
not
think I
that,
would.
that you don't want commercial development. We can't put the horse back in the barn on the professional offices, but we can eliminate commercial development.
But you're actually, you can't put the horse back in the barn.
George, if you want commercial development in Birchrunville, just say it.
I just want to know why this was proposed. It
That's
doesn't
You
make
just
that's
heard
why.
why.
That's why,
We have-
because
We have been hearing repeatedly about the impact and how the village cannot handle the impact of the commercial development of 3 little tiny office buildings, so I cannot understand why that.
But you're permitting them in this change. This
We are
change,
not
that's the
permitting
only
them.
thing you're permitting.
Excuse me, we're not permitting them. That application was filed. We're not
I'm not
permitting
talking about that, I'm
anything.
talking about this proposed change. Why would you change, why would the explicit change be to eliminate commercial development except for professional office buildings, when that's the thing that's being proposed now? It just makes no sense. This is just,
it makes perfect sense to me because you guys were beating us up on it for the last several years.
what we did, no, it doesn't make any sense, Ken. I mean, I could see if you said, we want to eliminate.
So I ask again, do you want commercial development in Birchrunville as it is zoned now, or do you want us to limit it, modify it in some
Would
way?
commercial development still go through conditional use? It would,
I
wouldn't
think
it?
it all does, yeah.
And why wouldn't we eliminate professional office buildings then?
Well, we can do that if you'd like.
Well, I mean, that would make more sense to me. Well, so you would consider eliminating all commercial development and all professional office
If
buildings?
that's what the residents that area wanted.
Why did this come up with just explicitly eliminating commercial development and didn't address commercial? Somebody had to explicitly say, except professional office buildings. That's the part that I don't understand.
I think that we heard loud and clear that different commercial uses would greatly impact the traffic on the roads, therefore the quality of life of the residents, and noise and lighting. Professional offices, by their definition, have about the lowest traffic impact of any
But
commercial
I
use.
don't know if that's, I don't know. how I
Remember
agree with
that there's still home occupations, they're allowed anywhere in the township, and still be allowed in Birchrunville. That's not affected.
Besides, there is a commercial office there now.
Correct.
Right, but we're talking about the future. This can't have any effect on existing uses.
Right, that's right.
So, it just doesn't make sense to me that we would say, we would word this in such a way that professional office buildings are explicitly the only permitted commercial use, but other commercial uses aren't.
What's the organization, Historic Birchrunville?
Well, I can't.
HBNA, is that
Yes.
right? It's HBNA. Why doesn't the HBNA propose some language to us about what they'd like to see in the Birchrunville commercial district?
Okay,
That sounds
we
good.
can do that.
Okay. I'm not saying we're going to agree with it, but we surely will consider it and incorporate it wherever we can.
So,
So what is the status of the current, then?
Well, David and Claire and I agreed to postpone the zoning hearing, or not to schedule a zoning hearing, so it goes back to the planning commission, and when we reach some kind of when we think all the input has been put in, then we'll go forward.
but are we gonna go, we're still gonna move with these other sections, right?
Yeah.
And the planning commission did forward this out.
Right.
Okay.
And of course, no zoning
Okay.
ordinance with respect to your.
Hold on a second, John. Suzanne, you got your hand up.
So I just want to understand totally. So we're looking at, on what was proposed, excuse me, section 4, section 5, there's 2 section 5s actually. One of them meant to be section 6, and section 7, and section 8, I don't know if that is with it too. We're going to postpone until we have a little further input from the planning commission.
We're going to postpone the part about the Birchrunville Historic District. Is that right? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
We're going to
So
move
is
forward
that,
with the
I
rest.
just want to understand, is that 4, 5, the second 5, and 7? 8, this ordinance shall become effective immediately. That would apply to all of the above, but I'm just saying, in what you put out, or what I have in my hot little hand,
Section 4 only.
section 4 only.
Right. That's the one that deals with Bertram. The 5 and 7 have more general application.
Okay, so section 4 is the only one we are concerned with. Okay.
Okay? Okay, John Jacobs.
Yes, I believe you asked a question, what do the people of Birchrunville want? I think you confused the issue. We'd like it to keep it the same, given the choice of what you just proposed, but enforce the setback issues that are in place currently and just do it that way. I don't think anybody agrees with what you're trying to do tonight, not in this case.
We're not trying to do it anymore, so it's moot. You won on that one. All right.
Brian Turk.
In the section 4, section A, that it reads, section B1002, B1 is amended as revised as follows. Professional office uses, provided they are confined to a maximum of 1,500 square foot of gross area if on one floor, or 250 square feet of gross area if on more than one floor. Is that a limit per a building, or is that a limit per a tax parcel, or a limit per, I guess, one property if it was made up of several tax parcels?
Jim? It's not a limit per property, because properties are all different size, I know that much.
It's a limit per building.
Yeah, it seems to me that when you're talking about one over the other, that's got to be just one building.
You're saying that it's only on a per building, so if you put 7 buildings on a given property, you would have something like 14 some odd thousand square feet. Is that true?
If the property's big enough,
Okay,
if it meets the area bulk regulations.
okay.
Other comments on that? Okay, so what are we doing now?
I would move that, actually amended motion, that what's in front of us, ordinance blank 2013, be sent out for advertising, I guess, with the exception of section 4, which will be referred back to the planning commission.
Comments on that?
Just one
George.
follow-up. So the planning commission's role in this is what?
Advisory.
Advisory only?
Correct, always, every time.
Okay, other comments? Suzanne?
When these, it's a question really more than a comment. When you make changes like this, do you go outside of the township to professional planners to talk to them about how these things are written so that they make sense? I mean, this is not my job to understand all this, but I wish I did. Do you actually consult with someone who advises you on how to do these?
Who our attorneys are for.
Are they planners? I mean, I know attorney is one thing, but, a municipal planner, or people who do this professionally, or something else.
You're talking about the stuff at Lowest Corner, that's part of the Lowest Corner master plan that was done by a professional planning group.
Okay,
We're just slowly bringing parts of that plan into compliance with the plan.
okay. And when all the things in Birchrunville were proposed, was a professional planner consulted?
No, that was pure reaction to the residents' complaints about the commercial use.
I think she's going back in time.
The zoning ordinance was created by a professional planner, yes.
Okay. I thought you meant just the changes that we're talking about just tonight.
No, I mean the whole thing. I mean, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the saldo changes are next, is that right, Jim?
Yes.
Okay. And they are,
To change the road specifications,
is that the only one?
that's my understanding.
Okay. Okay, do I hear a motion to township authorize the advertisement of proposed revisions to the township subdivision and land development ordinance in the form as presented for a public hearing on December 23rd at 7:30?
So moved.
Any comments?
What was the date again, I'm sorry?
23rd of December? 7:30. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.